Hey everyone, this is just going to be a little deck analysis of the 2006 Junior Division World Championship deck, BLS, Blastoise, Lugia, and Steelix. I have all of these decks made from like real cards, not just World Championship cards, so if this gets any attention or whatever, or I'll probably just make an analysis of all of them and kind of show the pros and cons of both and how they kind of fit into the metagame back in 2006, and then also as a background, you have no idea how hard this is to fucking find. A sealed 2006 World Championship box. This is one of the coolest World Championship box designs I think I've ever seen. And it is just impossible to find. This is, I don't know how much it's worth because they don't sell, but it's worth a good bit of money. But anyway, let's get started. So, starting off, I'll get through with the Pokemon. Let me just put these back in the freaking order they went in. Okay. Yeah, it's so bad. This video quality is so bad. I don't have a stand or anything. Just filming this on my phone. So, to start, actually, you know what? I'm gonna try to make a little makeshift stand. Hopefully this doesn't really fall down. Okay, screw it. Okay, starting off, there are 3 Blastoise EXs. It was pretty standard back then. Blastoise, still really good card. It actually has, what people may know if they play Boundaries Cross, it's Energy Ran, and, it's the same ability base that Blastoise had. But, you actually have to put a damage counter whenever you attach an energy, unlike the Boundaries Crossed Blastoise. I have the War Turtles in here, and I have these reverse holo versions. Everything's revved out in here, but the pre-release ones were actually worth less than these. I was actually really surprised when I looked up and I saw how much these Squirtles and War Turtles went for, especially the Squirtle. I saw the Squirtle and Near Mint one sell for $40 on eBay, and I had no idea. I remember I bought these years ago and paid like $1 a piece for them, like crazy. But yeah, it's just I just want to mention one thing. Squirtle or whatever, Bubble is a super good attack because back then the rules were a little bit different or whatever, but Bubble, it was a super good attack. It could really mess your opponent up if they didn't have a switch. Blastoise was sometimes used as an attacker, Hyper Whirlpool or whatever, but not too often. Usually your heavy hitter in this deck was 2 Lugia EXs, Elemental Blast, and this deck actually doesn't run any fire or lightning energies. It only runs water energies, but I'll get to that in a second. And Lugia is really good, 100 HP for basic Pokemon, 200 damage. Steelix EX, this was used for a couple different things. One was, well, I'm pretty sure since no Pokemon Retrieval were being played, Mudslide was a way, to get a cheap KO or, to damage an EX that's already been knocked out or already damaged that's on your opponent's bench. And I know there was some kind of tight matchup because this is back when they actually had resistance and resistance mattered or whatever. So I forget if they're doing this for a tight matchup. And then, yeah, the Onyx. The Onyx looks really cool, I think. And then, yep, Latias Cold Star, and it's for Shooting Star. This is kind of played or whatever. I have a Near Mint one, so I use the played one. But yeah, if they're defending Pokemon's an EX, it does 150 damage, which that should knock out anything or whatever, anything back then. This is your draw engine, Pidgeot. Quick search, it's extremely good. Once during your turn, you can search your deck for any card. But you can only use it once, even if you have 2 Pidgeot in play. It's a 1 per turn thing, and I love the way that they printed Rev Holo, Holos, and EX Hidden Legends, and then Fire Red Leaf Green. It's so cool. And yet, 1 Pidgeotto. Not too bad of an attack. Some Pidgeys. And here we go. These honestly should just be considered energy cards. The first one is Holland's Magneton, but what you can do with this is remember, since you have Blastoise, you can attach as many water energies as you want per turn, but you have to put a damage counter on each time you do that. So how you actually power up all of these Pokemon like Latios and Steelix that you're not meeting the energy requirement for is you can actually attach this as your energy attachment. So from your hand, because there's no Magnemite or here's the other one, Voltorb played in this deck. These are Japanese electrodes. I have the English ones. I just like the Japanese ones better. But you could actually essentially use this as a double rainbow energy. So you would attach it as an energy card, but you would have to return one energy card attached to the Pokemon that you attach this to your hand, but it didn't really matter because with Blastoise's energy rain, I was about to call it rain dance, I had to check, you could attach, as many water energies as you want, and Lugia and Steelix both you can power up in one turn or whatever because they don't require more than 2 energy types that you don't already have available. So these are essentially energy cards. Yep, so 2 and 3, and it really doesn't matter what you play. In 2006, people played varying amounts of each one, but I don't think that there's a benefit on playing a higher count of one than the other. And here is how you actually get everything out. Such a good card, Plusle. Call for Family, it was amazing, just to say the least. And even Positive Spark wasn't that bad, but you're not going to be wanting to waste a Holland's Magneton or a Holland's Electrode, on that, unless it's like, I don't know, just some 300 IQ play. And you played 4 of these. This is the ideal thing to start with. And normally if you start with anything else, unless you already have a full bench or can get a full bench, you usually want to attach an energy to be able to retreat this, because you always want to use Call for Family as early as possible. Obviously, we have 4 Rockets Admin. It works the same thing as in. Both players shuffle their hand into their deck and, draw cards equal to the amount of prize cards. Well, actually, this was up to the amount of prize cards they have remaining, so you could actually choose to draw less cards, which I guess in certain situations that could help you, but you actually have to draw the exact amount of cards. But this is really helpful because obviously this is a slow deck. It's slow to start up with Blastoise. Playing this deck, and I've played all 4 decks against each other multiple times. I've even made my own decks that weren't Worlds decks that were also good decks from the time period. And this is a very, very slow deck to set up, and it can kill you if you can't get a Blastoise out soon, or if you just cannot hit those water energies. But Rocket's Admin, if you're low on prize cards or your opponent gets 3 or 4 prize cards right off the bat, just have them shuffle in and draw 2, and you draw probably 5 or 6, because you're not going to be taking prize cards at the start of the game with this deck. So this is really helpful, and that can really mess your opponent up. And then we have 3 Celio's Networks. You can search your deck for a basic Pokemon or evolution card except an EX and put it into your hand. It's pretty standard, pretty basic. Really is good if you have a Squirtle and a rare candy. Just search for that Blastoise. Or if you have a Pidgey rare candy, search for Pidgeot. You also, actually I said before, you want to get Blastoise out as soon as possible. Really, the main thing is you want to get a Pidgeot out as soon as you can. That is extremely crucial. Pidgeot, you need that. This card is probably one of my favorite supporters of this generation. Try a number of cards up to the number of your opponent's Pokemon in play, but you can't play it if you have more than 7 cards. This is really good. There wasn't a whole lot of draw support without shuffling cards back into your deck back then, so this was really, really good. Of course, oh wait, I thought there was only one. Yep, 2 copycats. Just shuffle your hand into your deck and draw cards equal to the amount of cards your opponent has. And this was usually really good if, say, your opponent last turn had played a Steven's Advice, or it was really just a lot more likely back then that you would have especially at the start of the game or maybe midway through the game, just a clump full of cards in your hand. So this could be extremely useful. It's also useful if your opponent has a low hand count and you're about to deck yourself out. Say you have 8 or 9 cards in your hand and your opponent has 2 and you have no cards left in your deck. It can be used for a couple things. It's kind of versatile. Here is a Professor Elm's Training Method search your deck for an evolution card. I don't know if I like Elm's Training Method better than damn, I forgot what it was. I'm just having a brain freeze. Celio's Network. Because really, typically when you fast call or whatever with Pidgeot to search your deck for any one card, I mean, you can get a Blastoise with that, and I don't know, it's just sometimes you need like a basic Pokemon. I don't know if I like Elm's Training Method more, or I forgot it again, the name of it, but I don't know, I might have gone for maybe just none of these and adding in one of the other ones, or a third copy. And here are rare candies, and back then the rare candy rule was different, so you could actually rare candy on your very first turn and get a Blastoise and Pidgeot out turn 1. You could also rare candy Onix into Steelix. You could also say you evolved your Squirtle into Wartortle during that turn, or during your turn, or whatever, and then you got a Blastoise later on. You could play the rare candy to evolve into Blastoise to evolve twice in a turn. So rare candy was a lot better back then than it used to be now. I wish they had changed the rare candy rule back. You have Pokemon retrievers to get back crap that you lost. It's pretty good, pretty standard. It's, you know, most of the decks use this like some of the other cards. You have a warp point. Sometimes, or like when I was like building this deck and kind of playing with it like a little bit, I always thought there should have been 2 warp points, but really 1 warp point works like really good, in my opinion, just because with 2, because I tried playing it with 2 one time and like differing from the deck, I don't know, it just seemed like you'd get it when you could be getting like other stuff, and there's just kind of more important cards to have, but 1 works really good. And yeah, you and your opponent both switch your active Pokemon with when you're benched. Power Tree, very, very important card for this deck. This is what lets you get your water energies and have a constant stream of water energies. Once during your turn, if you don't have any special energy cards, and Holland's Magneton and Holland's Electrode actually don't count as, oh shit, I was doing it the wrong way. They don't actually count as special energy cards, so you could have those as your discard pile, because when they're discarded, they're actually considered Pokemon. They're only considered special energy cards while they're attached to a Pokemon. So it's pretty good. It could also help your opponent too, but a lot of the other popular decks actually played multi-energies and stuff like that back then, so, you know, they might be able to do it until one gets discarded. And then finally, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 water energies. I really wanted, I have some emerald ones. Well, actually, no, I don't. I need to get some more. I have emerald ones. I really wanted the emerald ones to stay like period correct, but I have like a few different ones. And I don't know, well, if I wanted, I could put like secret rare one from Crimson Invasion in here, because I have like 20 of those. I have multiple copies of all those, but I don't know, I think the most valuable one in here is the Lugia one, player rewards from Call of Legends. I have a couple of the regular Lugia ones that weren't, those cards go for like a lot of money now, it's crazy. But anyway, yeah, this video's gone on for a lot longer than I thought. The way that this deck actually compares to some of the other decks in Worlds 2006 is I haven't really, me and my sister, we like play these decks or whatever sometimes, but I don't know, I try to be more careful because I originally got these years ago when they were a lot less expensive, and now, I mean, just the freaking Latios, well, if I was using like the near mint one, it'd be like $2,000, but the one I have right here is probably still $1,000 or so, and the Lugias are freaking $300. Well, I have a couple like near mint Lugias, and then I think I'm using like some played ones I have, but I don't know, they're a lot of money. But anyway, against Evolutions, it actually is a pretty even matchup, or whatever. And a lot of it, I think, has to do with like Latios, because you usually want to play Latios in that matchup and use Latios and possibly use Pokemon Retriever to get it back, because you don't really have too many Pokemon in this deck that are non-EX attackers. Lugia EX, Blastoise EX, you know, your opponent's taking 2 prize cards off of each of those. But I think the Evolution with like the highest HP is 110, so 150 is more than enough to knock it out. And Latios, you know, if they knock it out, just use Pokemon Retriever to get it back, and then quick call for it, or fast call with Pidgeot, set it up again in 1 turn. What else was I going to say? This deck, if Suns and Moons, which is the Lunatone Solrock deck, if that actually gets a really good quick setup, and they can start using, I forget what it's called, but it targets your bench or whatever. If they can start doing that soon and just start slowly sniping off your Squirtles and stuff, and if your Pokemon Retrievers are prized, or if, you know, they prevent you from building a Pidgeot way too fast, or like, or they make you build a Pidgeot slowly or whatever, that could kind of be a slow, tiring game, but, you know, a comeback can be made. But really it has a good matchup against Suns and Moons, just because you can play resistance against them. Like Ladia or Lugia has fighting resistance, so, you know, that's really helpful or whatever. So typically you'll be attacking with Lugia EX and that, or possibly even Blastoise, just because Blastoise has more HP and can one-shot all the cards in that deck, unless they have Energy Root. But Lugia Lugia can one-shot everything with Energy Root. And then against Mutrick or whatever, Mutrick, out of all, well, no, I'd say it probably has about like an equal shot of beating it as Evolutions. Like I said, I haven't really played it too much against like Evolutions, but Disconnect or whatever is really good for sniping stuff on the bench. You know, 2 Disconnects, and you knock out a Blastoise. But the thing is, it's just typically in that deck, it has a really fast setup. This, by far, out of all 4, has the slowest setup. The other 3 decks set up relatively fast and have a really good, you know, start of the game. This one, I can dead draw for turns and turns and turns and lose, and that's typically why you'll lose games with this deck, because of dead draw, and you're just not getting what you want or what you need. But Disconnect, it's just that even though that's really good, we still have Latias Gold Star in this deck, and you're essentially sacrificing 4 prize cards to take 2, assuming that they knock out your Manectric EX, you know, the next turn. So it's just, I don't know, it's just not a even prize card trade-off. Really thinking about it, I think maybe Evolutions has a bit of a better matchup, because there are like things in that deck that you can manipulate stuff with. But this is my personal favorite one. The only thing I don't like about it is inconsistent with draws and stuff, but it's just, you have to have a lot of cards to make it function, which is why there aren't really too many cards I would change in this deck. If I could, you know, well, I don't know if I was like the kid who won Worlds, but, you know, he won Worlds in 06 with this. But I think it was definitely probably the best deck. I do really like Evolutions though, but I don't know, I'm tired of shit, and this is probably a bad attempt at a deck profile, but I don't know, I might do more, and I might like go into more in depth about stuff from 2006, like the different rules and stuff and how they differ now, and, you know, playing different decks using the Worlds, because I have decks made from, you know, all the World Championships or whatever on up. I don't have, well, I used to have all of them, but crap happened, but I have a lot of them. So I could maybe make more videos about going into depth and what to do on your first couple turns and just how each deck runs or whatever. And there are a few really notable things about some decks throughout the years that I really like, and just crazy things that were last minute additions into people's decks right before Worlds started that ended up like helping them win or whatever, and just very unique choices some people have made in decks over the years that have won Worlds. This isn't one of them. This is pretty straightforward, but that is the end of this video.